This is the Friday, March 11th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I am meteorologist Matthew East here with you. We have seen the last system pull on out of the area. A very, very nice weekend set to unfold, and then an interesting system that'll be a little bit different than some of the previous systems we've had that'll roll through as we get into next week. Let me start off with a look from Charlie's beach camera, the beach mountain camera there, and that snow covering the ground up that way is still, at the time I'm cutting this video, which is as normal during the 5 a.m. hour, is still some snow flying up there in the mountains of North Carolina. Now, the radar always does a pretty poor job of picking up the precip up in the mountains, but still some snow flying this morning, still some winter weather products up for that snow in the mountains of the Virginias and down into the North Carolina mountains as well. Temperatures, it's in the 30s across most of the Piedmont this morning, so a cool start. And we're going to be looking at high temperatures today, only in the 50s across the Piedmont. But a big warm-up's coming. Southwest winds will really crank tomorrow, and that's going to pull in much, much milder air, and everybody will be well up into the 60s for highs tomorrow afternoon. Wouldn't be shocked if somebody around Raleigh or Fayetteville managed to hit 70 tomorrow afternoon. All right, so let's kind of get into it. There's the upper air pattern today. Pretty sizable trough swinging through the easternmost United States. There's the surface presentation today. Low pressure sitting over the eastern Great Lakes. Pretty breezy today. We'll see some winds in the Piedmont gusting to maybe 30 or 35 miles per hour at times, and the winds, of course, even higher up in the mountains. All right, let's go to Saturday. Fantastic stuff here. We have high pressure sitting down around North Florida. We get that west and southwest flow in place on the north side of the high, and that'll really crank temperatures mid to upper 60s in many Piedmont spots tomorrow afternoon. Now, a little bit of a change in the Sunday forecast. Looks like the cooler air with the next cold front will be delayed just enough to squeeze in still another day with highs mid to upper 60s, maybe even some low 70s on Sunday afternoon, but we will begin to see some clouds roll in. Now, I'm going to show you the next couple of frames of the GFS, but it looks like it could very well be lost again with the system next week. So here we are, 1 o'clock, all right, actually after the time change, that'll be 2 o'clock on Monday afternoon. And a couple features, bump the button there, a couple of features to note here. Pretty strong high pressure nosing into the northeast from eastern Canada. That's going to be in a cold air damming position here. That's going to set us up for a pretty chilly storm system this next time around. And there's the GFS bringing its wave of precip through on the 0Z run, mainly Monday night. But all right, there's the upper air pattern on the GFS. These will all be valid at 8 o'clock in the evening Tuesday. Okay, that's the GFS. And it's hard to believe we're even looking at the same time frame here. Compare that to the Canadian. Look at that, a nice closed 500 millibar low over the Carolinas, and let's bring in the European. Look at that, almost identical, and even another piece of energy diving in behind it on the European. Now, this is the type of scenario when you're dealing with these cutoff lows where you can just forget about it in terms of getting any type of model consistency over the next couple of days, especially when you're dealing with the possibility of another piece of energy diving in behind it, which the Canadian has, but is not as intense with it as the European. With all that said, let me show you what the Canadian does with this system. There we are, 7, or actually again after the time change, 8 a.m. Tuesday. Surface low over the upstate. Heavy rain over much of the Carolinas. Let's go 12 hours later. Okay, the heavy rain continuing over much of the region as a whole, especially in North Carolina. And then that turns into a big coastal low that lifts up to the northeast. Onto the European. There's the initial wave of rain that moves in later Monday, and then there it has the developing surface low just off of the South Carolina coast at 7 p.m. Again, got to get used to that time change, at 8 p.m. on Tuesday evening. And I didn't put that chart on here, but if you look at the 850 millibar temperatures, the freezing line at 5,000 feet is right about there. Okay, let's go a little bit later here. That also turns into a coastal low. So you take the European verbatim, it's actually fairly close to some wintry precip, even in areas outside of the mountains in some spots in North Carolina with that system next week. So you'd always have to watch these upper air lows and exactly how they behave, exactly how the surface low forms. The one thing this one that has going with it that's a little bit different than some of the previous systems is a big, pretty cold area of high pressure over the northeast that at least initially will provide some pretty stout cold air damming. So, it's interesting to watch. It's March. It's kind of tough to get snow outside of the mountains, but certainly it's happened before. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm going with a chilly rain for my formal forecast on the air. And that's probably the smart way to go right now is keeping things all liquid. But just thought it was interesting what the European is putting out there. All right, that is it for today. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy that sunshine and mild air, and God bless.